The morning sun cast a honey-gold shimmer across the sprawling campus of Alpine Heights Academy, the most prestigious private school in the snowy northern outskirts of Colorado. Its towers pierced the sky like monuments to privilege, its stone walls echoing the quiet arrogance of wealth. Students arrived in sleek black cars, parents barely offering farewells before rolling off to meetings that shaped industries. Inside those walls walked Adelaide Pierce. White, brilliant on paper, stunning in appearance, and failing spectacularly at everything else. Her father, Reginald Pierce, was worth billions: hotels, media, tech, real estate spanning continents. His influence, like the cold winter wind, touched everything in the city. But for all his power, he had one public embarrassment. His only daughter failed every test at Alpine Heights. No amount of tutors, no amount of threats, no amount of money could change it. Today was no different. Adelaide stared down at the red F on her physics exam, though she couldn't even bring herself to feel shock. It was inevitable, almost routine. The teacher, Dr. Milburn, didn't even look at her. He just stamped the paper and moved on. Whispers floated behind her. She failed again? Her dad could buy the school but can't buy her a brain. Someone said she paid 3 tutors this week alone. Adelaide swallowed hard, her blue eyes burning as she shoved the paper into her folder. She didn't stop walking until she reached the emptiest part of the school, the maintenance wing. Students rarely ventured here. It smelled faintly of detergent and dust, the floors old and unpolished, the lights flickering with age. She leaned against a vending machine trying to breathe. That was when she heard the voice. A deep, calm voice, warm, but with an edge sharpened by a lifetime of seeing things others ignored. "Rough day, little miss?" She turned sharply. There he stood. The old black janitor she'd seen a few times but never. A janitor to show her the true meaning of intelligence. There he stood. The old black janitor she'd seen a few times but never truly noticed. His posture was slightly bent, his beard a cloud of silver curls, his hands rough and scarred, evidence of decades of labor. His uniform read, "Mr. Hawkins." He was pushing a cart loaded with mops, buckets, and rags. Yet the calm in his gaze made him appear far more important than anyone rushing through the marble halls upstairs. Adelaide wiped her eyes quickly. "I'm fine," she muttered. Hawkins hummed knowingly, leaning on his mop. "And I'm the Queen of England." Despite her frustration, a small, unwilling smile tugged at her mouth. He nodded toward the crumpled exam sticking out of her folder. "You're carrying that paper like it's about to bite you." "It might as well," she muttered. "It's another failure." "Another?" Hawkins asked, raising a brow. "How many are we talking?" "Enough that my father's going to explode when he sees this one." Hawkins didn't laugh. He didn't mock. He simply studied her with a kind of quiet understanding she wasn't used to. "You ever wonder," he said softly, "why some folks fail every test no matter how hard they try?" She frowned. "Because they're not smart enough?" Hawkins shook his head slowly. "No, not at all. Sometimes, child, they're taking the wrong tests." The words struck her like an unexpected gust of wind. "Huh." He chuckled lightly. "Come here." She followed him to a small storage room she had never noticed before. A place filled with cleaning supplies, old books, faded posters, and a small desk. He motioned for her to sit on the only chair while he pulled up an old crate. "What's your name?" he asked. "Adelaide." "Well, Adelaide, let me tell you something your fancy teachers won't." He leaned forward, tapping the F on her exam. "This ain't failure. Not real failure." She blinked. "But real failure," he interrupted gently, "is giving up on yourself. This This is just a message saying the method ain't working. She stared at the exam, then back at him, confused and intrigued all at once. How do you know that? She asked softly. Hawkins shrugged. I've been on this earth longer than your textbooks. I cleaned offices for CEOs who couldn't read a manual. I fixed things men with 3 degrees couldn't understand. And I raised a son who thought he was stupid till he realized he was just learning the wrong way. For the first time, Adelaide felt something loosen inside her chest. The grip of shame, the crushing weight of expectations. You think I'm learning the wrong way? She whispered. Hawkins nodded slowly. And you've been doing it for years. He took the physics exam and flipped it over. Let me see how your mind works. And then, everything changed. Hawkins placed 3 random objects on the desk. A rubber band, a metal bolt, and a paperclip. What do you see? He asked. Just trash, she said hesitantly. He chuckled. Look again. She frowned, studying them. Well, the rubber band is stretchy. Good. And the bolt? It's heavy. Solid. And the paperclip? It's bendable. Hawkins nodded. Now tell me, which one stores energy? Adelaide blinked. Stores energy? He pointed at the rubber band. This one stores potential energy. Stretch it and let it go, pow. It snaps back. He flicked it across the room. Adelaide laughed, a rare sound. And which one resists pressure? He asked. The bolt, she said quickly. It's strong. And which one changes shape when force is applied? The paperclip. He smiled. That's physics, child. You just learned 3 principles of force without a single equation. Her eyes widened. You teach better than any of my teachers. That's 'cause your teacher's teachin' from the mind, he said gently. But you learn from experience. He leaned back. You're visual, hands-on. You see stories, not numbers. She stared at him, stunned. No one had ever figured her out that quickly. You're not dumb, Adelaide, he said, voice steady. You're just learnin' in a language that ain't yours. The room fell silent. For the first time in her life, someone didn't blame her for failing. Someone understood her. The next day, Adelaide returned to the maintenance wing before her first class. Hawkins was already there, wiping down a table. Back again? He asked with a smile. Teach me more, she said. And so began the strangest and most powerful learning journey of her life. While other students sat in marble classrooms, she learned physics using buckets of water, brooms and mops, rolling carts, pipes, soap bubbles, flashlights. Hawkins turned the entire maintenance wing into a living science lab. He showed her that gravity wasn't an equation, it was how water always fell downward. Momentum wasn't a formula. It was how a rolling bucket kept going until friction stopped it. Light refraction wasn't complicated. It was how sun hit a soap bubble and made rainbows. And day by day, subject by subject, her world transformed. She stopped seeing science as a threat. She began seeing it as a puzzle, a story, a language she finally understood. But Hawkins didn't just teach academics, he taught life. Your father's wealth ain't your strength, he told her. Your mind is, but you gotta learn how to use it. You don't take a test to impress anyone, he said. You take it to prove to yourself you can. And most of all, you ain't allowed to quit in my presence. Not today. Not ever. Adelaide worked harder than she ever had. Failed. Tried again. Failed again. Tried again. And Hawkins never stopped encouraging her. Wrong answers guide you to the right ones, he told her. Every time you fall forward if you learn something. And slowly, so slowly she barely noticed, she changed. 2 weeks later, the physics midterm arrived. Students whispered as Adelaide walked into the room. Is she even taking it? She'll fail again. She's hopeless. But Adelaide wasn't the same girl anymore. She sat down, took a deep breath, and let her mind translate every problem into Hawkins' lessons. Potential energy equals rubber band. Mass equals bolt. Friction equals rolling bucket slowing. Refraction equals soap bubble. Hawkins had turned every concept into a memory she couldn't forget. When she turned in her paper, she didn't know if she passed. But she knew she had understood. That alone was a victory. The results came a week later. Dr. Milburn called her name. Adelaide Pierce. His tone was unreadable. She approached the desk, heart pounding. He slid the test to her. She stared. Her breath caught. Not A-, not B. A full, shining, undeniable A. For a moment, she couldn't move. Then she felt tears burn her eyes. Not of sadness, but of disbelief and pride. The class went silent. Even the whispers stopped. A billionaire's daughter, who had been failing for years, had scored higher than the top students. She ran to the maintenance wing, bursting with excitement. Hawkins! Hawkins! He was polishing a floor buffer. When he saw her face, he stopped. Well, he said softly, that there is the look of someone who finally saw her own worth. She threw her arms around him before she could think, tears falling freely. You believed in me, she whispered, when no one else did. Hawkins patted her back gently. Child, you did the work. I just showed you the door. But the victory came with a storm, because someone else noticed her sudden rise. Someone with power. Someone who didn't like it. Her father. Reginald Pierce didn't tolerate failure, but he feared unexpected change even more. When he saw the grade, he narrowed his eyes. How did you get an A? He asked. Hard work, Adelaide replied. He snorted. Don't lie to me. Who's helping you? She swallowed. A janitor at school. For a moment, Reginald simply stared at her. Then his voice dropped into a cold whisper. A janitor? He's smart, she defended. He teaches me in a way I understand. I don't pay $50,000 a semester so you can be taught by the cleaning staff, her father snapped. He's the reason I passed. Reginald slammed his fist on the table. You will stop seeing him immediately. Adelaide froze. What? No. He's the only one who. Enough. Reginald barked. I will not have the Pierce name associated with that kind of man. The words struck her like ice. Adelaide stepped back. You mean because he's a janitor? Or because he's black? Her father didn't answer. He didn't need to. Her heart cracked. She ran from the room, tears burning her eyes. Her father didn't understand. He didn't listen. He didn't know the truth. But someone else did. The next morning, Hawkins wasn't in the maintenance wing, or the hallways, or the storage room. He wasn't anywhere. Instead, she found a notice on the door. Effective immediately, Mr. Samuel Hawkins has been suspended pending investigation. Adelaide felt her knees weaken. As suspended? For what? She ran to the principal's office. Why was he suspended? She demanded. The principal, a stern woman named Mrs. Arden, looked uncomfortable. We received a complaint, she said. A complaint from who? I can't say. My father, Adelaide whispered. Mrs. Arden's silence confirmed it. Adelaide felt something dark ignite inside her. Fury, determination. No one was going to take Hawkins from her. Not her father. Not the school. No one. She left the office, her hands trembling. Not with fear, but with purpose. If Hawkins had taught her anything, It was that she had more strength than she ever believed. She would fight for him, just like he fought for her. Adelaide found her father in his study that evening. "You got him suspended," she said. Reginald didn't look up. "It was necessary." "No, it was control." He finally set down his pen. "Adelaide, you don't understand." "You're right," she said. "I don't understand why a man who taught me more in 2 weeks than anyone has in years is being punished because you're insecure." Reginald's jaw tightened. "Insecure?" he repeated coldly. "I am protecting you." "No," she said, voice breaking. "You're protecting your ego." Silence, the kind that burns. Then softly, "You think I don't know the truth?" Adelaide whispered. "You're afraid people will think your daughter's success didn't come from your money, that it came from a janitor." Reginald's eyes flashed. "That man does not belong in your world." Adelaide stepped closer. "But I belong in his." Her father froze. "You've lost your mind," he whispered. "No," she said firmly. "I've finally found it." She turned and walked out, leaving him stunned. The next morning, she found Hawkins sitting on a bench outside the school gates, suspended, alone, forgotten by everyone but her. "Hawkins!" she cried, rushing to him. He looked up with a tired smile. "Well now, I was wondering if you'd come." "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "This is all my fault." "No, child," he said softly. "This world, it don't like when people from different walks start lifting each other up. Makes them nervous." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "What do I do now?" Hawkins took her hand gently. "You walk in there," he said, pointing to the school, "and you show them you don't need me anymore." She shook her head. "But I do." "No," he said. "I gave you the tools. But the strength? That was always yours." He reached into his pocket and handed her something. A small, bent paperclip. "The first lesson," he said. "Don't ever forget it." She clutched it tightly. Then Hawkins stood. "I gotta go now," he said softly. "Will I see you again?" she whispered. He smiled. "Whenever you use what I taught you, I'm right there." And then he walked away, into the morning sun, like a shadow fading, like a light passing its flame to another. A month later, final exams arrived. Students were tense. Teachers watched closely. But Adelaide walked in calm, confident, with the paperclip in her pocket. Every problem on every test became a memory. Force equals broom movement. Acceleration equals rolling cart. Light equals soap bubble. Gravity equals water falling. Pressure equals bolt resisting force. She finished every exam early. And when the results were posted, gasps filled the hallway. Because Adelaide Pierce, the girl who once failed every test, had achieved straight A's, every subject, top scores in the entire school. Her father was stunned. Her classmates were speechless. Her teachers were humbled. But Adelaide didn't celebrate. Not yet. Not without the man who made it possible. A week later, the school held an assembly to recognize academic excellence. Adelaide walked onto the stage, her awards in hand. Then she stepped up to the microphone. "I didn't earn this alone," she said. Gasps rippled through the auditorium. "My success belongs to someone the school ignored. Someone society looks past every day. Someone who taught me what no classroom ever could." The principal looked nervous. Her father shifted uncomfortably in his front row seat. Adelaide lifted the microphone. "This award belongs to Mr. Samuel Hawkins." The shock that passed through the room was electric. Students turned. Teachers whispered. The principal looked pale. "My life changed because he believed in me when no one else did," she continued. He taught me more than textbooks. He taught me perseverance, confidence, self-worth. Tears shimmered in her eyes. And I will never be ashamed to say the greatest teacher I ever had was a janitor. The room exploded in applause. Standing ovation. Even teachers clapped. Reginald Pierce didn't. Not at first. But gradually, slowly, even he stood, his face unreadable. But for once he didn't stop her. The following week, Samuel Hawkins returned to the school. But he wasn't wearing his janitor uniform. He wore a new badge, Student Success Mentor. The school had created the position because of Adelaide's speech. He would now help students who struggled academically, especially those who learned differently. When Hawkins saw Adelaide again, he simply smiled. "Well now," he said softly. "Looks like you passed your final test." She grinned. "No," she said. "I just finally took the right one." They stood there in the hallway, a white billionaire daughter and an old black janitor, united by something stronger than wealth or status, respect, gratitude, and the power of a single person who believed. Years later, Adelaide Pierce became a powerful advocate for educational reform. She built programs for struggling students. She funded schools in poor districts. And she always carried one thing in her pocket, a small, bent paperclip, a reminder of the secret Hawkins taught her. You are never failing. You are only learning. And the world finally understood. Sometimes the greatest geniuses are hidden in the humblest roles. Sometimes the greatest teachers wear uniforms no one notices. And sometimes, a billionaire's daughter needs